Hello, it's Saturday the 3rd of January. You're tuned in to our late night newscast coming to you from Arirang's news centre in Seoul. Thanks ever so much for joining us. I'm Mark Broome. And we begin with news that the United States has announced a spectrum of new sanctions against North Korea in its response to the cyber attack on Sony Pictures. The White House says this is just the first aspect, suggesting even more punitive measures could be in the works. So Connie Lee starts us off.
New sanctions have been slapped on North Korea by the United States for Pyongyang's alleged cyber attack on Sony Pictures. The White House says this is just the first aspect of the U.S. response to the Sony incident, so more could be on the way. The new sanctions for now are on 3 North Korean organizations and 10 individuals who, according to the U.S. Treasury Department, are North Korean officials working in Iran, Syria, China, Russia, and Namibia. U.S. authorities say, however, that they are not directly linked to the cyber hacking. The 3 sanctioned companies include the Reconnaissance General Bureau, which is Pyongyang's military intelligence agency, and the Korea Mining Development Trading Corporation, along with the Korea Tangun Trading Corporations, 2 organizations linked to the North's nuclear weapons program. President Obama signed the executive order on Friday, with the White House saying this is in response to North Korea's provocative and repressive actions of the cyber hacking, and that the sanctions have been imposed to further isolate Pyongyang's defense industry. The U.S. has placed sanctions on North Korea before for its nuclear weapons program, but it is the first time the U.S. has sanctioned any country for a cyber attack. The massive hack attack on Sony Pictures in November led the Hollywood-based studio to temporarily pull its Christmas Day release of the comedy film The Interview out of safety concerns. The film, which depicts the fictional assassination of North Korean leader Kim Jong-un, has been condemned by North Korea, but Pyongyang continues to deny any involvement in the hacking. The FBI and the White House have previously said North Korea was behind the attack, but a number of cyber experts have cast doubt over the accusations. Connie Lee, Arirang News.
The South Korean government says that if North Korea accepts its proposal for high-level talks later this month, it will make sure the main focus is on restarting reunions for families separated since the Korean War. Officials in Seoul are aiming to organise a reunion event as early as next month during the Lunar New Year holiday. The government says it wants to find a fundamental solution to ensure reunions are held regularly in the years to come. Nearly 70,000 people in South Korea are registered as separated families, according to Seoul's Unification Ministry, and about half of them are more than 80 years old. A Korean medical worker who may have come into contact with the Ebola virus is now in a Berlin hospital after being flown in from Sierra Leone. The city's renowned Charite Hospital said in a statement that the unidentified medic who suffered an injury with a hypodermic needle was taken into its special isolation unit earlier on this Saturday. Now, hospital officials haven't commented on whether an Ebola infection had been confirmed in the patient, but said a press conference will take place later on Saturday local time. The medical worker will be held in quarantine and monitored regardless for 3 weeks, which is the incubation period of this deadly virus. Korea has so far sent 10 medical workers, 4 doctors and 6 nurses to the West African country to help in the global fight against Ebola. Korean space officials are scrambling to minimize the chance of one of their satellites colliding with some space debris. U.S. monitoring agencies warned Korea on Friday that the country's science and technology satellite 3 could potentially crash into the debris on Sunday evening Korea time unless measures are taken. Korea's Ministry of Science, ICT and Future Planning says officials will attempt to prevent a collision by changing the satellite's altitude during that specific time period. The debris they are watching for is one of thousands of pieces of twisted metal that was produced after a Russian and US satellite crashed into each other around 5 years ago. The Korean satellite, launched in November 2013, is used to forecast geological events. Now, staying on the topics of satellites, and Korea is marking the 20th anniversary this year of its first ever commercial satellite launch. The government used to be the driving force behind Korea's satellite and space industry in general, but it's increasingly looking to take a back seat and give the front seat to private firms, as our Kim Hyun-bin reports.
August 5, 1995, Korea's first commercial satellite, the Mugunghwa-1, was launched into space from Cape Canaveral. A successful launch opened up Korea to an era of state-of-the-art satellite communications and broadcasting, allowing viewers in South Korea to experience satellite and cable TV. Korea is the sixth country in the world to develop its own commercial satellites. Most of the R&D behind Korea's homegrown satellites were led by the government, but starting this year, it will play a supporting role while private firms step in to take the lead. In February, Arirang 3A, the first privately backed commercial satellite, is scheduled to take flight. It took two Korean companies 4 years to develop the main body of the spacecraft. Other private firms are pushing even further ahead, working on a mid-sized satellite to launch by 2020. At 500 kilograms, the smaller, more advanced satellite is expected to be drastically cheaper and take less time to develop compared to conventional models, while maintaining all the same functional capabilities and more.
Led by private firms, research and development for this mid-sized state-of-the-art satellite is expected to progress extensively.
Experts say the transfer of authority in the satellite industry will not only usher in new advancements, but also enhance Korea's competitiveness in the global space race. Kim Hyun-bin, Arirang News.
Now, search teams scouring the Java Sea for more bodies and debris from the AirAsia plane disaster have detected two big objects some 30 meters underwater. The head of the Indonesia Search and Rescue Agency says officials are using sonar equipment to try and get a more clear image of them. 30 bodies have now been recovered from AirAsia Flight 8501. Some of them still strapped to their seats. Almost a week has passed now since the disaster, but investigators are still no closer to knowing what actually caused the plane to come down. And on a related note, transport officials in Indonesia say the plane should not have even been in the air on the day it crashed because the budget airline, AirAsia, did not have a permit to operate on Sundays. The Indonesia Emergency Ministry says it will investigate all Indonesia AirAsia flight schedules from Monday. Japanese Prime Minister Shinzo Abe will reportedly travel to Washington in late April or early May for a summit with US President Barack Obama as the two countries prepare to mark the 70th anniversary of the end of World War II. The Japanese daily Asahi Shimbun reported on Saturday that the leaders plan to reaffirm their two countries' bond and discuss ways to deepen their alliance. Washington and Tokyo want to revise their bilateral defense deal after the Abe administration lifted Japan's self-imposed and decades-old ban on coming to the military aid of an ally under attack. Now, Korea, understandably, will be watching the situation very closely as it's deeply concerned about Abe's push to try and revive Japan's military. Seoul has also been pressing the US to use its great influence to urge Abe to apologize for Japan's wartime atrocities. The Wall Street Journal has identified 7 variables that it thinks will affect the direction of the world economy in 2015. The US-based daily says tumbling crude prices, while very good for consumers, are forecast to slow economic growth in petroleum-producing regions. It adds the Eurozone remains in the doldrums, and China's economy has been hit by slumping real estate and weak domestic demand. It also notes the geopolitical worries in the Middle East. There's a lot of focus, too, on what will happen when the US Federal Reserve raises interest rates around the middle of this year, bringing to an end a near 7-year period of near 0% short-term rates. Now back here in Korea, and a treatment centre equipped with smart devices has opened in the country. The centre, designed with younger patients in mind, offers games and other fun activities that should make it easier for the kids to communicate with doctors and hopefully will make their time in hospital less stressful. Our Son Jung-in reports.
Young patients in hospital gowns are engrossed in computer games. You may think they're just playing a simple online game, but they're actually receiving treatment for weak eyesight. The background image of geometric designs rotates in one direction, helping those with a lazy eye improve their sight.
The icons change suddenly. It's like watching a fun magic show.
Doctors at this center communicate daily with their patients using a smartphone application. Kids suffering from allergies such as atopy can inform their doctors of their physical conditions by sending pictures. Doctors say this therapy program has helped them do their jobs more efficiently.
As the patients let us know their current conditions and describe to us their aggravating factors, it helps us greatly in administering treatment.
This place, dubbed the Smart Healing Playground, is especially designed for pediatric patients that require long-term treatment for problems like poor eyesight or weak hearts. Children can have fun while receiving medical information through an animated video.
Kids get familiar with the way they are treated while playing games and watching animations. We expect this program to bring satisfactory results.
Experts hope this smart healing playground made by converging medicine and information technology could serve as a stepping stone towards a new era of innovative medical center. Son Jung-in, Arirang News.
Now, before we go, leaving you with a brief look at the weather here in Korea, and most of the country is under partly cloudy skies tonight. The overnight low is going to dip to -2 degrees in Seoul. Sunday is going to be a very nice midwinter day with plenty of sunshine as well, and an afternoon high of 8 degrees Celsius in the Korean capital. Now, for those of you tuning in from outside Korea, here's a look at the weather conditions around the world. Well, those are the stories we have for you at this hour. For more of the latest developments here in Korea and around the world, don't forget to check out our website, arirang.co.kr/news, and also our smartphone application. Do enjoy the rest of your weekend. Goodbye.